Hi, it's Rona, and I have a layout today for Scraplift Crafternoon. Today we are scraplifting Stephanie Wright, and we are doing two layouts, and this is in coordination with Kristen Foster's series, Thankfully Inspired. She has all month long taken a couple of layouts, kind of meshed them together, and been very thankful for the person who um, she was scraplifting. And so she was kind of honoring several people who meant a lot to her journey in scrapbooking. And I thought that was a super cool thing to have for November. But all of the Scraplift Crafternoon team are joining her today to scraplift Stephanie Wright. So I'm going to kind of show you what I'm going to be using today. And I'm using 49 and Market Vintage Orchard. I have some thread picked out. I have lots of different products. I am going to probably use a little bit of these, and then I'm also going to pull out some spice after I had everything stitched and started on this layout. I realized the layouts are more pumpkin-y than apple orchard, which we picked apples and picked pumpkins on the same day, so I'm going to have some of both. So here I'm showing you the finished stitching. However, and I chose the color that I did because my daughter's sweatshirt was the color of that background. But the back side is beautiful, and after I stitched it, I loved it. So what I'm doing here is kind of showing you that I'm just, even though I cut them too short to really rethread and run it back through, I am just putting a little bit of glue to kind of stiffen the thread and then poking it under my stitches. By poking it under my stitches, it's going to keep it from coming loose. And then I'm also going to cut it short and then add a little bit. That's making it stiff again so I can tuck it through one more time. But I'm going to add some glue and cut it short and then just, squish it in, make it secure so that the ends won't come up. Because I intend to use the back of this layout for one of my layouts. I'm going to use this background because I loved it. It took me hours to do the stitching. The back side of a back stitch also looks pretty. The stitch is not an ugly stitch when you look at the back side. It's still a really nice stitch. And so yeah, I'm just going to embrace it. I went ahead and showed you how I did one. This is the finished. The one color is pretty, exactly the same color as the background on this side, but you can still kind of see the gold woven through this because I am using my new DMC. I think it's a toile thread, and each of them have gold. Some of them are a little coppery, but mostly goldish thread, metallic thread woven through. I chose to do my background this way because on the background with the rainbows in the back, it was a cut file that they used or Stephanie used some colored paper behind it to make, or I assume it's colored paper. It might have been a mixed media background even. That would be pretty too. But anyway, she had a color behind it and it just made the background so striking. I loved it. And I didn't have a rainbow, but I had this kind of plaid, and then with the stitching, it just fancied that up, and I thought it really made a nice background. I am taking from the other layout. Hers was on the left-hand side. I'm using my paper there on the right-hand side. I'm going to come up with something to go across the bottom as well. And that was kind of the layout design that she had. Now, I couldn't do the embellishing exactly like either one of these photos, but I took the idea, which she had. There were kind of 3 embellishment clusters on both of the layouts, and they were very close into the photos. In other words, there's a lot of background showing. And obviously, after I spent that much time doing my stitching, I wanted my background to show as well. So I am going to keep my embellishing very near. And she had a film strip on the one layout over the piece of paper. So I did do that as well. Um, but anyway, I am going to keep my embellishing very close to my photos and that piece of paper that I added there. So I decided to add that frame, and of course I had already put my fun foam on the back of the picture, but I did still want to kind of overlap the pictures enough so that my husband's arm wasn't just showing so much, and I thought that made it look a little bit better. Um, to get his arm out of it. He's going to be in some other pictures on a couple of the other layouts. I think from this day, I will probably have 3 layouts. So I'll have one that faces this page, then I will have the back side of this. And I think that will work out really well. We did do some apple picking, like I said, on at the same time as the pumpkin stuff. So I'll have another pumpkin layout and then I'll have the apple picking and we will have this little event all documented. So I'm kind of beginning to do a little bit of gluing because I wanted to get, how I wanted it decided on here. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photos and then that background paper, and then I'll kind of figure out my embellishing. I did go through off screen and pull some things as I was kind of looking through the orchard, 49 Market Orchard, Vintage Orchard collection. It was a lot more apples and a lot less pumpkins. So I did go through and pick out a few from Spice. I still have a ton of that collection. And it was going to work well with this. I'm pulling in some of this green. I did have green thread as one of them. I put green, there was green paper, green leaves on the paper that I chose. And I pulled out a green heart and a green bow, and I'm kind of wanting to get those worked in because Carly's dress is green, and I thought that made her stand out a little bit more. It's going to be, this page is for her book, and it's pictures of her and her mom, and I guess her dad is in one of the pictures as well there. So I just wanted to make them both stand out. Um, and so I took that little accent from the photo and made that work. I'm kind of fussing around just a little bit, trying to decide how I want everything. I'm showing you there that I'm trying to embellish kind of how she did. Hers had that little banner going up and across, and that's what I initially thought of when I pulled out the bow. Well, I can use this instead of the banner, but it just didn't work on the top. It looks better here on the bottom. I didn't like how it was going over the photo, even though it was going over in an area where it didn't make that much difference on the photo. I still liked it better on the bottom. I just didn't like it covering up the picture. So that's what I ended up with. Trying to kind of keep the colors similar. If you looked in the beginning, I did have 5 threads because I didn't know for sure what I wanted yet. I did not use the darker brown, but I am using some of the darker brown accents. I just thought that they kind of look nice with this and kind of draw your eye around the whole layout. So I'm showing you there. I went off camera and did the gluing, which was a lot of 3-dimensional, mostly the 1mm, but some of it is 2mm. And then I'm just going to come in here with a few of these little epoxy shapes and things. I have some hearts and some words. The first word that I put up there by that green heart says love you. And my title is actually Memories Made Together because we were all together. And I liked that title. And then my last one was Good Times. And so there's a little bit of words kind of in each of the little clusters there. I do have a ticket over there that has admit one on there, and that's, I know, also words, but it kind of blends in. So liked how that looked. So my last step here today is going to be my gold splatter, and I wanted to add some gold because I liked the flecks of gold in the thread, and I just wanted to kind of tie everything all together with the gold splatters. So this is the Picket Fence Liquid Gold. I pulled out an orange also, but I was kind of afraid it would get lost on the background paper, so I ended up just going with the gold. I didn't even open the orange. The first time I did it, it was kind of thick. It didn't have enough water and it wasn't gonna, splatter quite as well as I wanted it to. I love this stuff, but honestly, a lot of times I get lines with it instead of just dots like you do with just watercolor ink. And I don't know, maybe I need to water it down a little bit more unless I'm just using the dropper and dropping it on. I love how it looks when the dropper just drops it on, but I just wasn't wanting great big splotches today. I just wanted some little splatter. You can kind of see in some of these, I think over the title especially, because it's such a dark brown, it kind of stands out that it's kind of strung along there, and it doesn't bother me. I still like it. I like that messy look of the splatter, so it's all good. Of course, there is a description box below with a playlist that shows what everyone else on the team is doing today, and I can't wait to watch. We will see you again very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.